Hello and welcome back to Market House, a podcast where we talk all things Disney. My name is Caleb and I am the host of this show, and just want to welcome everyone back if you've listened to us in the past, and if you're new here, welcome. Like I said, we pretty much talk all the things that are related to the Disney company, whether that be the cruise line, the parks, movies, anything you can do that has that magic company name attached to it, we pretty much cover here. Hope everyone's doing well. This is coming out a little later than I'd like or usual, but it's been a busy week. You've got, of course, just work stuff. My wife and I both work full time. Unfortunately, I still haven't hit it rich. Either whether that was the lottery or the casino. I guess you have to take part in these things. I really don't ever go to the casino. You do have to actually take part in these things to have a chance of winning. But anyways, still haven't struck it rich yet, so I'm still working. And then you had, just fun stuff. I mean, it's a combination of fun and boring things, like kind of tackling random house projects. We rent, so it's not like homeowner level projects yet, but it's enough to where it keeps busy, right? I noticed that the humidity level in our house was like higher than what should be normal, and I'm not a humidity expert. I had to look this up, but I was like, why is condensation building up on the windows? And even when we open the windows up and try and air it out, it doesn't really help at all. And I was like, what the freak? So come to find out, it's supposed to be in a certain range, and our house is way over that. So I'm like, what is going on? So I had to order a dehumidifier, and those aren't cheap. And then you've got this that go, it's $100 to fill up one of our cars now because of gas so high. So anyways, just all this stuff, man. Things cost a lot of money. So enjoying that kind of, I don't know why that has to play into why I'm recording late. But anyways, you had the Super Bowl on Sunday. We were busy doing some house stuff on Saturday. And then, something else happened. Yeah. Oh, the little thing called Valentine's Day. So spent time with my wife like a good husband should. And took the night off of any kind of podcast-related stuff. So my schedule got a little mixed around, so recording a little late. So I apologize for the kind of the difference in posting, but life is busy, and I don't get paid for this, so you're gonna have to deal with it. And I'm just kidding, but anyways, so yeah, that was just a lot. That was a lot of complaining. I apologize. We're not negative here. We're gonna be positive. We're going to talk Disney here in a second. So, you know what? Actually, a Disney-related thing that we did this weekend was, while we did some house stuff, folding laundry and all that good stuff, we threw on A Bug's Life, one of the most underrated Pixar films in existence. And that is not a debatable comment. I love A Bug's Life. It's actually probably my favorite Pixar movie. Fight me, whatever. You're wrong if it's anything else. I love that movie. The characters are hilarious. It's funny. It's just a good movie. And it's hard to kind of, when their first movie, Pixar, is Toy Story, and then they follow it up with A Bug's Life, it's kind of hard to live up to that Toy Story movie, that original one, man. That's history making. So anyways, it doesn't get the love it deserves, and it deserves a lot of love. So watch A Bug's Life if you need something to watch. Anyways, enough about me. Let's dive into that Disney news. All right, we've got to start off this news segment by mentioning this is breaking news. So as of the day I'm recording this podcast, this literally was just announced, and I called my wife and was like, what in the world? Can you believe this? But it looks like Disneyland and Disney World are taking away that indoor mask policy. I think a mandate's the wrong word, but mask requirement for vaccinated guests. So just to clear that up, if you are vaccinated, you are no longer expected to wear a mask anywhere at the park, except a couple of exclusions or whatever. You will have to wear them on transportation. So if you are in a form of transportation that's enclosed, the monorail, the bus, Skyliner for the East Coast folks, you have to wear a mask for transportation stuff. But if you are vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. Now, this is kind of the curveball, the thing that's involved with it that people have a problem with, is that they're not really checking for vaccination cards or anything. They're just trusting you that you are vaccinated, right? So I'm going in with the expectation that unvaccinated and vaccinated alike will not be wearing masks anymore around the park. So I don't know how that makes you feel. It's going to be weird, right? We've been used to in public places wearing parks, especially a place where thousands and thousands of people congregate and are within spitting distance of you in, let's say, the Haunted Mansion stretching room. That's a perfect example of like you are asking to catch something, whether that be COVID, the flu, the cold, whatever. So it is what it is. I think eventually we were, have to make this step. This is a little quicker than I imagined. California usually lags on kind of changing of policy, especially the Disneyland park. So I would expect like if California was like, hey, no indoor masks are required anymore or whatever, usually Disney lags behind by 2 weeks to a month or something like that. Just to give, I don't know, just for a buffer, I guess. But no, they pretty much within a day or two of California loosening their restrictions, they were like, no, we're on this, man. So anyways, that is breaking news. It's going to be different. It's going to be weird, but I guess it had to happen eventually to kind of return to normalcy. So that is happening not January, that would be back in time, February 17th. So as of February 17th, no more masks required for vaccinated guests indoors at both Disneyland and Disney World. All right, next we've got some good news for us Disneyland folks, and that is the trams are coming back. The guest favorite Disneyland trams, the things that take you between, or the form of transportation between the Mickey and Friends parking structure and the new Pixar or something. I think it's the Pixar, I don't know, parking structure over there, the brand new one. Connects that parking structure to the Esplanade, right? The area between the two parks. Those are coming back. So that long, pretty much mile walk for folks is no longer a necessity as of February 23rd. So as pretty much a little over a week from when you're going to hear this podcast or when this thing's posted, you will be able to enjoy those beautiful, beautiful trams. So fans have been asking for this for quite a while now, pretty much since the parks opened. Like, where the flip are these things? My feet hurt already, and I haven't even stepped foot in the park yet. So we rarely use these things, my wife and I, so I don't think it's going to make much of a difference to us. We don't park a car when we go down there. We fly, and we use that beautiful service called Uber, because renting a car for the Disney parks just doesn't make sense. We don't really do anything else down there, so renting a car for a few $100 and then just driving it between the hotel and the parks don't make any sense, and you have to pay for parking, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, we don't use it that much, so we're not like, whoa, we're going to use this thing. But I know that folks that drive down there or locals or what have you will love this introduction of the trams back into our lives. So anyways, glad to see them back. It is kind of a cool thing. I mean, I don't know. It's just a staple of the park. They've been there forever. So good to have the trams back. February 23rd. Next up, we've got some Disney Plus news, and that is West Side Story, the latest Steven Spielberg film, is coming to Disney Plus. So you can start streaming the movie on March 2nd, so in a couple weeks. And this movie was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, and I already mentioned, directed by Steven Spielberg. So I really want to see this thing. We didn't see it just because we haven't really been going to the theater for multiple reasons, just because, I don't know, I don't want to sit next to somebody for 2.5 hours, and they are, chomping on, I don't know. Anyway, comfortable-wise, we just weren't ready yet. And also, movies are expensive, and we've gotten used to not paying 20-something bucks just to sit down in gross, sticky theater seats and pay exorbitant prices for, I don't know. At the end of the day, that's another podcast, right? But just my opinions on movie. I used to love the movie theater, but now I'm just like, I don't know, man. The value is, I don't see it anymore. Anyways, for big blockbuster movies like Spider-Man, we went and saw that in theaters. That's a no-brainer. But for these kind of films that are like, I don't really need to see it on the big screen, I'm not sure it's worth the $25 for the ticket. So anyways, if you were waiting, like my wife and I were, to watch this movie, your wait has ended. March 2nd, you can stream West Side Story. All right, and our final news story is happens to be about a event coming up at DCA, and we used to be kind of a Disney World only thing. So they used to hold these festivals and stuff at Epcot, and we were always kind of left out for some reason on the West Coast. And then they started giving us some events at DCA, and that is we got the Food and Wine Festival coming up March 4th through April 26th. So you can see it's going to bring some food booths, just like the Lunar New Year. You can kind of get some unique and interesting bites around the park at these little food booths located all throughout DCA. You're going to be able to take part in culinary demonstrations. So I think some Disney chefs and stuff will be doing some kind of follow along as I cook this meal, and I'll teach you how to cook it things. We got live music and also, of course, exclusive merchandise. So that's coming up again, March 4th through April 26th. Another fun thing about this event is that they are bringing back Soarin' Over California to DCA. So instead of Soarin' Over the World, which is the new and improved version, they are bringing back Soarin' Over California, the OG experience, right? The OG Soarin' experience is coming back to DCA. So it's personally my favorite version of the ride. Over the World there's nothing bad about it. It's not like it's a bad ride. It's just I prefer that OG Soarin' Over California, just more for nostalgia reasons, right? It was filmed, I'm almost positive, I think in standard. There's a lot of reasons why it's not better, but it's not as crisp, like the picture quality and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's just wow, it makes you feel on the ride, and it brings me back to being a kid. So Soarin' Over California coming back to the parks March 4th through April 26th. Experience the Food and Wine Festival. All right, and that brings us to our main segment of this episode, and that is 2022 predictions. So I know it's a little late to be doing predictions for the year. We're in the middle of February already. Time is flying. But and it's kind of better late than never, right? It's one of those where I was sitting there on the couch thinking of an idea for this episode, and I thought, you know what? I think there's some things that are coming around the corner for the Disney company and the park specifically, and I'd like to kind of get out there ahead of it and see if I can get some stuff right. Now, I may be totally off on some of these, and some of these you're going to be like, duh, stupid. Like, of course this is happening. But, you know, I don't know. You're going to see in a little bit, you're going to be like, yeah, okay, bad timing on that one. But anyways, let's dive in. This is what I'm thinking is going to happen in the next year for the Disney company. First one, we've got a focus on Disney Plus. So I believe that 2022 will be kind of a continuation of the last couple of years, and the Disney company will be focused. The number one priority for this company will be Disney Plus. And you've got a giant focus on this thing because that's the growth of the company right now. All the revenue numbers, the last earnings call, that was a giant focus on was on Disney Plus, right? That a lot of attention was spent there, a lot of time was spent on the growth of this new service because they have to justify this giant investment, right? So you've got shareholders, you've got board members that are all kind of looking and interested at the Disney executives, specifically Bob Chapek, the CEO, going, hey, what's the return on this giant multi-billion-dollar investment that you call Disney Plus? So you've got a dividend still paused. So again, I'm getting to some boring stuff here, but the stock used to pay a dividend, right? So let's say the dividend was, I don't know what it was. I'm going to make up a number, 55 cents a share. So if you owned 10 shares, you got $5.55 of dividend. Hopefully I'm doing that right. You're going to be like, you're an idiot, dude. Do some simple math. Again, I'm not a mathematician, so don't come at me. But anyways, you've got, you get paid out a dividend, right? But they paused that. So that's saving the company nearly $2 billion a year. And they paused that because a activist investor, I'm not going to go into all the terms, but someone that owns a ton of stock said, hey guys, go ahead and pause that dividend that you're paying out. That's costing you, again, nearly $2 billion a year. And why don't you reinvest that into content for Disney Plus? So you've got this beast, right, that they created, this Disney Plus. And unfortunately, it makes a lot of money, but it also costs a ton of money to keep up. You will be less inclined to renew that subscription if it's just the same stagnant old property, right? The old if it just had all the Disney classics, you'd be, okay, this is cool. We'll keep it for a year. But how many times are you actually going to return to go watch Pinocchio or, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, right? Only so many times. You've got to keep feeding this thing new content, and that unfortunately costs a heck of a ton of money. So you've got Disney, this old school, may not seem like that, but they are kind of an older school, big media company, and they're competing against the companies like Netflix, Apple, who is in the content space now, and they've got to battle and fight for that attention. The minutes that your eyes are focused on that app is priceless to that company, and they need every minute. I don't know, every minute away from Netflix and Apple is a good thing in Disney's book. So anyways, I think for both the Disney company and consumers alike, I think the focus is more at home entertainment, and unfortunately that means probably less investment in the parks for the time being, and a giant focus on Disney Plus. All right, next up is might be a little bit of a duh situation, but I think in 2022 you're going to see even more IP focused expansion in the park. So IP, intellectual property, again, a little brush up on what that means. It's just something that you own, right? An idea that a company owns. So Marvel, right? Zootopia. I just said Marvel, and Marvel. Marvel, Lucasfilm, right? Star Wars, Boba Fett, Mandalorian. That's all IP, right? It's all property that a company owns, and that's a very layman's terms explanation of what that means, but I'm going to keep it pretty simple here. So anyways, I think you're going to see even more of that in the parks and less original ideas being developed by the company. And you have to understand, not to put blame on the wrong people, Bob Iger was actually the one that proudly stated that this was his strategy in his book. And this started a long time ago with the acquisitions of, you've got Marvel, Lucasfilm, the Jim Henson Company, the Muppets. You've got Pixar a long time ago. You've got 20th Century Fox, which was a giant 70-something billion dollar acquisition. So anyways, you've got them spending an obscene amount of money on these properties, right? That come with a lot of intellectual property, which is what they're buying, right? They're buying some talent there, but mostly they're buying the rights to these films, characters, franchises, what have you. And when you're making those kinds of investments, billions and billions of dollars, I mean, if you add it all up, over $100 billion, you've got to see a return on that money. So again, shareholders, board members, they have an expectation of, hey, if you're going to spend, example, what's it called here? You spend $4 billion on Lucasfilm, $100 million on every season of Mandalorian. That's the actual cost of that. So about $100 million a season. $200 million for the Star Wars movies. Every single one they pop out's around $200 million, the budget, the main ones, right? The sequels. That's a lot of money. And so they're going, yeah, are we getting the value out of this? When you spend that kind of money, yeah, we make money on the back end, right? So you release in theaters, it makes $1 billion, right? So it costs $200 million. They say always double that for marketing expenses. So you're at $400 million probably out of Disney's pocket to produce this film. So right now they're going, okay, we've made $600 million because this thing grossed $1 billion in the theaters, blah, 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 blah. That's really simple math. It's probably different than that. And then after that, they go, yeah, it's great and all, but you did pay $4 billion or $5 billion, whatever, for this property. Let's keep that money going. So then they want it, okay, I want exposure at the park. So then they build this Galaxy's Edge. And then they've got all this merchandise at Target you can buy for your kid. And then they've got, there's a Mandalorian app that you can buy. I don't know, I'm making this up. And it's a bunch of puzzles and stuff for kids. And it's $1.99 a month. And it's just crud like that is what generates this giant machine and this money-making machine. At the end of the day, Disney is there to make money, whether you like it or not. And that's what it does. It does a really good job at that. So anyways, I think they just see a way bigger return on investment with IP-focused content, rides, attractions, entertainment. And it's because we already recognize them. There's really it's a reduced barrier to entry, right? So if I saw Disney announces the Mandalorian live action entertainment jam-packed show at the Hyperion Theater in DCA, I'm like, I already know who that is. You don't need to really introduce me to the character. I'm going, right? That theater's probably going to be packed because people love The Mandalorian. Now, if it's an original Spaceman John and his trusty sidekick Fido, you're going to be like, what the heck is that? And it's going to be slower on the uptick, and it may take a while for the reputation to get out there. And so then you've got this money pit that they keep pouring money into advertise it and blah, blah, blah. So anyways, it's easier for these executives and these creatives to just develop on already existing ideas. So it's a good thing and bad thing. I mean, I like The Mandalorian, right? I like Star Wars. I like Marvel. I like seeing these things be developed, but I also kind of miss the originality of a ride like Space Mountain, Big Thunder, Grizzly River Run. I mean, it's just original ideas. There's little story hints throughout the ride, and you don't, it's not married to a character or an actor, right? I don't know. It's an unfortunate reality of just everyone's doing this. Universal's doing the same thing, right? All these companies are just buying up stuff and saying, let's just inundate people with these characters. So, anyways, I think you're going to see them double down on that. Imagineers are already, a lot of them are grumbling and complaining about this new vision, and it's unfortunate, but anyways, they have to kind of spit out and regurgitate stories over and over and over again, and that's just the new reality for these parks. All right, and this is the one that kind of, I wrote it, and then literally the next day or 2 days later, they announced some stuff that I'm like, well, geez, now they're going to be like, you stupid dummy, it already came true, and that's not a prediction. Anyways, the third one is parks finally return to normal. So, of course, the normalcy has to do with masks and stuff, and that was just announced that they're no longer going to be required as of the 17th. So that kind of aged poorly. But anyways, I think the parks returned to somewhat normal this year. Again, that's probably not a big surprise to most folks, but not only are we going to, again, maybe lose the masks, if I can talk, that would help. Not only are we going to lose the masks, but I think you're going to see capacity return to normal. I think you're going to see capacity return to normal. I think you're going to see entertainment come back at full force. We're going to see everything come back. You're going to see staffing normalize. And also, I think you're going to see with staffing comes all the restaurants are open. I think just Disney by the end of 22 sees pretty much 2019 Disneyland, if that makes sense. So again, it's different, right? You've got probably reservations because they love that. They want to know where you're going and all that junk. You're not going to lose Genie Plus, unfortunately. Price hikes, those are going to stick around. But anyways, the feeling of the park will be like 2019 or close to it by the end of this year. So again, no brainer for the virus, right? The viruses are probably going to taper off eventually. It's going to become just a part of us. Unfortunately, we're going to have to live with it. And I know it's weakening as the years go on, and hopefully it does become like just a normal flu or a bad cold kind of thing, right? And that's the hope, right? That it weakens and it's still viral and all that stuff, but it's just like having a cold. And of course, that's just going to become normal and blah, 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 blah. You know where that I'm going with that. So, but I think staffing issues, I think that's probably the second main issue. You've got COVID, and then number two, you've got this, grand resignation, the grand, what do they keep calling it? The big whatever. And you've got people moving and leaving jobs that they don't really care about, and they don't want to get paid minimum wage and to put up with some lady screaming at them, right, for being asked to wear a mask and whatever, right? So I think Disney is in a position where they need to probably give in a little bit, and I think they've been fair. I think in the past they have made steps. I don't want to get too political and stuff, but they've made steps to beat, California's minimum wage standards. Those have increased, right, over the years. And I think in this year, I don't know. Anyways, it's like $15 an hour, right, for the state. And Disney went to $15 an hour, I think, a couple of years ago to beat it out and say, hey, come work for us. We'll pay you a couple dollars more than we're getting paid now, right? Working at Target or something, whatever. And then they offer a college benefit. So I think if you work over a certain amount of hours, whatever, you get college tuition paid for through the company. And I think it might be ASU online or something. But that's a cool perk, right? Starbucks offers something similar. And so they have been pretty cutting edge and trying to offer their staff fair wages. And I appreciate that, right? People need to be paid fairly for the work they're putting in. And I think, some folks have been underpaid for quite a long time. And I think they've just realized that. And the pandemic helped them going, I don't think it's worth going and getting screamed at for 32 hours a week and getting paid what I'm getting paid. So anyways, there's this kind of trade-off, right? You're going to go, okay, you want me showing up to work, you're going to pay me XYZ. Now, yeah, you can argue that some of it's extreme, and I get that, right? I think there's going to be I think Disney's going to have to kind of relent a little bit and give in to some of these demands by cast members and soon-to-be cast members. They go, you want me to be one or want me to return? These things are going to change. So I really hope they come to some sort of agreement, and I think if the trade-off becomes, how do you say this? If it makes sense, right, for both the employer and the employee, and you've got that beautiful right middle ground, right? There's that sweet spot of this makes sense for a company to pay, and the person says, I feel appreciated and taken care of. We got to meet that, right? We got to find that sweet spot. So I think they're going to have to do that because they can't operate right now. They're operating with a really, really, really lean and mean team, and it's not working. It's a skeleton crew. So you've got the story we had about our last trip report, going to Disney, and they weren't opening the Starbucks in the park till 11 a.m. and closing it early because they had a bunch of people that were calling out sick or just not enough to even work. And you have the Starbucks in downtown Disney not opening until 11, and I think they closed at like 3 o'clock because they didn't have enough people to run the store. So I know they're kind of holding out, right? They've got a lot of open positions, and again, I don't think they're budging on pay, blah, 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 blah. So anyways, I think you're going to see this normalize by the end of the year. Disney can't afford to operate this way for very much longer, in my opinion. And also, I think eventually people will go, you know what? I have to get back out there. I got to work, and this is what it's going to take for me to come back. So I think we're going to find that beautiful sweet spot to where cast members are taken care of and they feel valued, and Disney goes, you know what, this makes sense for the company, and we can pay this, right? Or this makes sense for whatever. And again, corporations are nasty. It's a bottom line thing, and it's unfortunate, but it is a reality. And, you live in a capitalist society, right? The U.S., it runs off money. That's just the reality. Money keeps this world going, and it is what it is. So again, we find that sweet spot, and I think Disney kind of returns to normal staffing levels and feels normal by the end of the year. All right, and my final prediction for 2020 is kind of my flyer one, right? This is my Hail Mary prediction. It's a little more risky, and that is I think Disney makes a metaverse-related acquisition this year. So if you're asking, we're like, what the metaverse, and it's a weird word, I got to give it to you. But it is, again, you're going to have to Google this, maybe YouTube a video to get a better explanation. I'm no, how do you say? I'm no expert. There it is. Man, my brain is not working today. If I'm no expert in this world of metaverse and whatever, but think of, this is my simple way of explaining it. Think of The Sims. Do you ever play that game as a kid? Think of The Sims, where you have a character and you've got kind of a role-playing whatever. You have a house in there. You've got items that you own. You've got a job in the metaverse. Think of that, but you're interacting online with millions of other people. So my understanding is you have an online persona, an online version of yourself, and you can interact with people all over the world. This includes buying legit virtual real estate, art, clothing. It's crazy. It's weird. So it's weird. It is. It's honestly saying it out loud it makes it even weirder, but you will be living like almost a second life, right? Let's say my job, let's say I work at Disney. That's easy. I'm a cast member at Disney. I work at the Golden Horseshoe, right? I'm schlepping fries or something like that, right? Or soda. And at nighttime, though, in the metaverse, my guy is I'm a art dealer or something, right? You can have a total separate life on this virtual world is, I think, the vision of this thing. And I can own virtual, I can be a renter in real life, but I can own a pretty kick-butt house in the metaverse, right? And I paid whatever for it. So that's the reality. I think that's the pitch, right, for this this virtual world. And this in the technology world, this is the new kind of sexy thing. It sounds weird. I'm not sure I understand it 100%. I'm not sure I will participate really early on and be an early adopter of it. But I really do see Disney taking a larger step into this because I think they have to. Unfortunately, I think everyone's forcing their hand. You've got the rumors of Apple releasing a VR headset at some point in the next couple of years. You've got Facebook literally changing their name to Meta and focusing on this metaverse, right? They already own virtual reality headset called the Oculus. You've got Microsoft making waves in this thing. Oracle, I think, is starting to step it in the world. Google, I bet you, is going to already take. Snapchat's already done it with like these AR whatever. I don't know. There's just it's a different world out there, man. You got NFTs. I don't even can't begin to explain what that is. What that even means. Non-fungible token. So you can own an image, a virtual image, even though anyone can see it, this digital thing, right? A picture of a donkey. And someone can buy the original picture, the rights to that picture for $4 million, even though you can view it on Google, download it off of Google, set it as your phone wallpaper. I'm not getting royalties off that. I don't understand it. I can go on a tangent for 30 minutes on this thing. I don't get it, but it doesn't mean it's not going to become a thing. But anyways, I can see Disney making a sizable acquisition to kind of take place in this. And I think of all companies, Disney can kind of make the kid-friendly metaverse, right? So they can totally team up with either an existing company or buy one, right? Even maybe gobble up some kind of gaming company, right? Roblox is public now, and as well as Minecraft was gobbled up already by Microsoft. But I can see them kind of making some kind of kid-friendly metaverse so kids can go online and have a virtual, I don't know if this is healthy, but anyways, have an online thing. I don't know. I just think they're going to do it because they have to, because to compete in this world, this technology world, they're going to have to do it. So anyways, I can see them doing something like VMK. If anyone remembers that, it's called Virtual Magic Kingdom. It was flipping awesome, but it was essentially an online game that Disney developed where you can find and collect new items around the park. You could essentially, I remember walking with my friend. It was my first time visiting the parks in 2005, and it was 50th anniversary of the parks over there. Anyways, walking through Tomorrowland, and I stopped by this kiosk, and this guy gave me like 3 cards. They're like little playing cards, and it had these items on it, like Aladdin's lamp, maybe an outfit or something. And my friend's like, "Oh, dude, go home, sign up for this game. It's called VMK." And you're going to get these items, but like in a digital version, right? Your character will have these. So I went home and I created a character on this, and my character had the Aladdin lamp in his house. I had this cool outfit. I had whatever. Anyways, you can collect these real cards and then kind of upload them or whatever, download them onto the game, and you could tour the Disneyland park. You could walk into Adventureland. Everyone had these like cool outfits on that you can collect. Anyways, it was really, really cool. It was almost like Metaverse alpha version, right? It was a very early version of that. And anyways, really, really, really cool. So I can see them developing something like that. They can make a ton of money, right? Selling virtual spirit jersey, right? So in real life, they cost like $75. You want a virtual one, it's $20 or $25 for your character. You want that one and only art piece for your house that, again, normally in the parks is maybe $10,000 or something. You can have it for $2,500 in the metaverse. So I don't know. I can seriously see this being a real, thing in the next couple of years for Disney. So I think they're going to have to kind of take part in this because everyone else is, and to, again, compete for that time that people are spending, right? Netflix, Google, whatever, they're all competing for your time. And for Disney to compete effectively, they're going to have to, I think, take part in this new metaverse at some point. So I believe they will make a substantial acquisition into this realm, into this new world of digital virtual stuff in the next year. So I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how much that acquisition is. It could be a measly $30 million little company, or it could be $1 billion. Who the heck knows? But all I know is that Disney will take a part in it at some point of the year, and I can see them buying a company to do so. And that's it. I'm sorry I rambled a little bit there. That was a longer episode than I intended, but I had a lot to say, had a lot to share, and I hope you found it entertaining. And if you have any thoughts on this, feel free to message us on Instagram. And before you message us, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Market House Podcast. And you can send your thoughts that way if you want to. Like some pictures, check it out. Again, we're visiting the parks in about 2 weeks or so. So we'll have some new park photos and kind of report back to you on the Food and Wine Festival and how that went and all that good stuff. Anyways, consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify if you can. That would be amazing. That helps us kind of show up when someone searches for Disney podcasts. Maybe pops our podcast up there in the search results, as well as just lets us know how you feel about the show and all that good stuff. So consider leaving a review if you can on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a good week, and we will see you next time.